Okay, we are rolling.
I think it was 3 weekends ago. We went to the Blue Hills. It's like 30 minutes south or north or west or east of here, here being Boston. And it's this like beautiful kind of park and reserve. And we went hiking around the area. It was like a 3-mile loop. And we were 10 minutes into the hike, and it's kind of the part of the hike where you're like, are we on the right trail? What's happening? Like, you're looking for like it was a blue circle on the trees. And we overstepped the initial path and we kind of went back. And there was this long cascading tree archway. We were walking through it, and I was talking to my friend Georgia. And she was telling me about this podcast about how you need to imagine your saddest moment and like remember the sadness that you felt and where you felt it, and really kind of focus on that feeling, and then try and replace that sadness with like all the happiness you've ever felt. And it's this like meditation about imagining your older self hugging your younger self, and every time like you feel sad, you just imagine you next week hugging yourself. And I just started crying. We were like 10 minutes into this hike, and I just remember being like, Jesus fucking Christ, like you try and you go into the woods and you try and like just kind of be in nature and be nice, and then you end up talking about your feelings and crying. It was one of the best weekends of my life.
It was on this forest hike that I knew for certain she was the love of my life. I knew her father wouldn't approve, me being the lowly waiter at the local Denny's and her being a architect at a major architectural firm. But I could tell from the connection we formed on this hike that what we had was a special love, something that was built to last. I proposed to her 2 weeks after this hike when we were cross-country skiing in northern Vermont. She cried. She said yes. And that night, we made love. A month later, she told me she was pregnant. We found out a little bit later that it was twins. I was concerned, being the waiter, not sure if I was the right man to father the children, but I thought I was up to the task. Her parents were furious, of course. Her dad tried to buy me off, tried to say he'd give me $1 million if I would just leave. However, I knew our love was special, and I wanted to stick with her.
Loving her was easy in the absence of circumstance, but money and power oftentimes take away from the love that we shared. My job, I lost my job. I ran out of money. And at a certain point, I knew that I couldn't provide for her the life that she needed and the love that she wanted. In a perfect world, we would have lasted far longer than we did. But eventually, I had to abandon her, not out of spite, but out of sacrifice. So I left and fled to Nevada. I left her in Kansas, and I fled to Nevada. I took a bullet train, and we went across the Rockies, and I saw visions of her eyes among the stars, her tears among the rain, her smile in the sunshine, and inside I only felt pain. But I knew that if I found purpose again in this new land, far from my love, that I could perhaps one day return with bountiful treasure and make wonderful memories with her together.
I had been traveling for so long, and yet all my time I felt had gone to waste, in search of treasure, but without the one I truly loved. And then I thought to myself, what was the point of finding all these things, just to please another person? Why would I care what they think over the fulfillment of my own life? And then I thought to myself again, I did not want to return. I didn't want to go back, because the only person I could truly love was myself.